Now, obviously, it's a great event. It was definitely going to be overshadowed by the big news that broke this week, and that was GSP saying, you know what, I don't feel like doing this anymore.
That was not mentioned one time during the event.
Yeah, it surprised me.
Yeah,
probably because Dana White was like, don't mention it. I'm so mad at him.
I'm really shocked by that. I would fully expect the Dana White to do some kind of tribute. Oh, wait, when you don't really retire, you can't really, yeah. That's my problem with this whole thing. Mm-hmm. You're not retiring. You're pretty much quitting without quitting. And
he's retiring.
I'm not going to say.
I mean, he's retiring, George.
But he's not.
But he must. This is, okay, I want everybody to hear me for a second, okay? He's saying that he's not, but let's just look at GSP. GSP was averaging fighting maybe once a year, okay? Now, that's taking time off, in my opinion. Now, if you're going to take time off, and he's got movie deals and all kinds of other shit flying around.
We're assuming he has movie
We
deals.
just know his life is in a zoo. His life is a zoo. His life is a zoo.
So his life is, he lives in a cage and people come around and look at him, or he walks around and looks at people in cages?
I don't know. But something like
Sounds
that.
like one, I mean, it does.
But it's a zoo. He made it very clear to us. Even though
like,
we're not
zoos supposed to be crazy? Because it's not, a zoo is really not that crazy.
I thought zoos were calm.
Because now, a zoo would be fucked up.
I mean, they're fun. Is his life fun? Maybe he's having too much fun. That's why he wants to retire.
Well, that's probably why
he's
he got
not
that girl
retiring. That's
pregnant.
right. Oh, yeah, that's another thing. Then that can make your life kind of a zoo.
And see, here's what I'm going to say I lost a little bit of respect for GSP. And this is
George, have you ever had respect for GSP? Let's be real, man.
As a fighter and an athlete, yes.
Yes. Okay.
I've never respected the style he fights because he's always fought to not lose, not necessarily to win.
Right.
And there's a huge difference.
I was just asking.
So, the way he phrased it, because at the end he said, I will come back if I feel like it.
Right.
Fuck you very much. Because that's like telling everyone who paid $60 to watch you dry hump another man to death is, you should have paid if you felt like it. Like, you just sat there and told all your fans, thanks, but that's the way I interpreted it.
Right.
Because you should have said, and had the respect, like, look, at this time, I'm retiring. I'm stepping away. The sport, well,
especially because he's relinquishing his belt and everything.
Yeah.
You would just think that he would say, look,
that line, for me, really bothered me. I'll come back if I feel like it. Well, fuck you. Why didn't you quit sooner then?
Well, this is the thing, and this is what I find odd about it. I mean, and like you said, I have a tremendous amount of respect for GSP because he is a phenomenal athlete, a phenomenal MMA fighter, and is going to go down as one of the best ever.
At 170.
And ever in general, because he's definitely was one of the best pound-for-pound fighters ever to step in the octagon. But people, you have to look at it realistic, and all you GSP fans out there that follow him, because there's loads of GSP fans that watch the show. I just so doubt that he'll be able to come back. And why I say that is because you're in a class that if you were keeping up, okay, it was getting very difficult to keep up. You see how big these guys are. You see how all the middleweights that are dropping down to welterweight. We called it before. We were like, if he gets through Johny Hendricks, which a lot of people don't feel like he really did, he should probably give it up because there's going to be 50 more Johny Hendricks coming behind you. You know what I'm saying? Coming behind him. And you're getting older. Each year you're getting older. You know, it's going to take that much more to train for. These guys are more diversified. They're training. The method's getting better. The sport is evolving.
They're diversifying their skills.
They're diversifying their skills. Now, if you step away from this sport for 2 or 3 years, as this sport, how quickly it evolves, you just cannot. No. I don't see anybody.
This ain't riding a bike, dude.
It isn't. I mean, the sport is still evolving, and I think anybody that steps away from the sport for 2 or 3 years, you're going to come back and you're
at any level. I mean, I would say right now the only weight class that doesn't show a whole lot of craziness is the heavyweights.
Yeah.
They're just kind of there's not much evolution to the heavyweights game right now.
Right.
I mean, what I mean by that is you don't see really, really big guys cutting down to try to make weight and then fight, and you just don't see a lot of changes in the heavyweight class.
I think the only thing that you could see in the heavyweight class that would make somebody be a standout is if they just had an incredible motor, because you do see most heavyweights dying. You don't see any heavyweight that is just that much more conditioned than the other heavyweights, right. Like a standout.
No, this is a lot of weight to carry around there.
Yeah, it's just a lot. With that being said, I just don't see him coming back.
I don't either.
I think it could hurt his legacy.
He doesn't need to come back.
He doesn't.
He didn't.
Really doesn't.
I mean, like I said, when he lost that fight to Johny Hendricks, when he won that fight to Johny Hendricks.
You had it right the first time, I thought.
He should have just walked over and gave him the belt and said, here you go. Mm-hmm. Like right there, he knew right there he was done.
Yeah.
And I understand in the heat of the moment, you should take some time and gather yourself, but nothing changed.
Yeah.
You know it. And he was a tremendous fighter at 170.
And I think there's, it's funny when you say,
tack that shit up.
If you look at it, some people say GSP won this round, GSP won 3 rounds, and I could sit back and go, okay, I could possibly see that. But I think when you really look at it, like if you look at a fight, he lost the fight. You know, technically, technically a lot of people say Johny Hendricks won the fight, and then technically, obviously, the judges saw GSP win the fight, and you cannot argue that point. But I think if you really look at who won the fight, and I think that's one of the things that played a role with GSP, because he sat there and realized, I got my ass whooped that night. You know, and that plays a lot on a man's psyche.
How many takedowns did GSP have in that fight?
I don't know, but he
2,
attempted
3?
a lot of them.
Right, and he landed how many? I'd say for the first time in that fight, he landed less than 5.
Yeah.
I mean, when's the last time we saw GSP do that? And that had to be disheartening.
Yeah.
To a guy who sits there, pepper, looks up at the clock, 3 minutes, okay, cool. Take down, hold you down for a minute. Take down, hold you down for a minute, round.
Yeah.
That's what GSP did. And to be so successful, that's also why he holds the record for most time in an octagon.
Right. He's fought so many, you know, and this is what you were looking at. Look at Johny Hendricks. You're looking at now with the evolution of the welterweight class. For the once, GSP having a crop of guys coming up that were all his height, maybe taller now.
Right.
Like he was usually the taller guy. He had his stature, the reach and height. He was looking at probably within the next 2 years, probably being one of the smaller guys now, the shorter guys. And it's like, you know, when you have to take down a guy that's lengthier and sprawls his legs wider, it's harder to get around the legs. There was just going to be so many more uphill battles for him.
So where does that leave the welterweight class?
I think obviously we're going to find that out when Robbie Lawler meets Johny Hendricks
in March. Here's my other issue with the UFC. What month are we in?
We're in December.
We're just about halfway through, correct?
Yeah.
We're one day about being.
Yeah.
Why are we being told about fights in February?
Yeah.
This is why we know how.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why the cards get all twisted up.
Right. You sit there and you have people fall out, drop, fall out, drop, fall out, drop. I don't need to know about any fight in February till January. Give me 30 days. I don't need 90.
I think it's because it leaks out. Because even if you have to, like if I said, okay, George, if I was Dana White, I said, you're going to fight, I got to give you a 90-day notice at least. Unless you're just going to step into something. If I'm building a card, I have to give you notice, and you know that the people who are on that card are going to start to leak out.
Well, here's the thing I find amazing. Ronda Rousey and Sugar Britches are fighting here in 2 weeks, right? Mm-hmm. But what's the fight we only hear about on that card?
What's the fight? We just hear about the Silva too. Silva and Weidman. I mean, Weidman. Hmm?
I'm just saying that says all I need to say about women's MMA.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be an interesting fight. We'll see what happens. But anyway, guys, thoughts and comments below. Congratulations to Jameis Winston, who won the 2013 Heisman unanimously.
Shout out to Ben Roethlisberger.
Deuces.